Hey, good afternoon. It's your girl Jersey Love Steph, and if you're out there, I just want to welcome you in. I was just in this message. I want to share of one way we can help end world hunger. It's a way to alleviate and possibly end world hunger. And but it takes all of us as community and as part of the world. It's a bigger problem than just one person. What I mean is we stand in community. Okay, so there's millions and billions of people that suffer with world hunger, but some people don't even have access to food. So, not like a professional or anything, but this was just a really good idea I had. But the thing is I looked and there's a lot of loopholes around it. So I don't, it's going to take more than myself. It's going to take everybody and it's community. But okay, so if you're here, I just want to welcome you. I did put it on 3 minute subscribe time to comment. Okay, let me just put later. Okay, so if you have joined me, thank you. I did have off today because we have bad weather here and it's just the roads are pretty bad. So if you're joining me, thank you. Maybe you're off too and it's Saturday, thank God. Some place in the world it's on Sunday. So thank you. I know Mara, my friend Mara, he's over in the Philippines. I believe it's 11 o'clock at night there. Now he's 12 hours. So I guess it's not tomorrow. It's still Saturday. But I hope you had a good holiday and thank you for joining me. So in this message, I want to just address some ways. Well, one idea that I had a really good idea, but like I said, it's going to take more than myself. It's just an idea. But unless it was to be put into action and we all work together, then, it could become a reality that we could alleviate some of the world's hunger and that people could become self-sufficient. The main thing is becoming self-sufficient. It's not that we rely just on ourselves, but we need God, of course, God above everything. I do believe in God and I know he exists, okay? But maybe you don't know about God or maybe you don't believe in him, but there is God, okay? We're one nation under God. But if you're across the world, I don't force my beliefs on anybody. I just let you know God exists. Okay, so we cry out to Abba Father. But anyways, hey, how are you, Scott? How you doing? Hello. I don't know what time it is. Scott's chiming in all the way from Chicago, right, Scott? He's all the way in Chicago. I don't know what time it is by you, but it's 11:09 a.m. here. And awesome. He says, doing great. Good to see you. It's 10 a.m. So we're only 1 hour behind, I guess. How is it up there, Scott? I know it's got to be cold. I had this wonderful idea, like if we alleviate world hunger. But of course, it's going to take more than us. But the thing is, I was looking online how we do this, and there's a lot of loopholes around it. But so Scott says it's good, kind of overcast but mild. Awesome. It's actually snowing here today. We have a lot of ice. I had a lot of ice on my trailer and there's restrictions, so I couldn't get out. They basically just made us go to our truck, clean it off, and that's it. But I actually had off today. Um, so I wanted to share this. A lot of people are actually starving, physically starving. They don't have access to food, right? In the United States, we're very blessed. Yes, we may be struggling, but it's not like a lot of the world's like food poverty where they're actually starving to death. Okay, if you look at Africa and stuff, there's no fresh foods and stuff like this. But I think this is just an idea. But like I said, nothing works unless it's actually put into action. So, this is one thing that's put on my heart. And I did see on the TV that this was actually starting to go. So it's basically being self-sufficient. If we could teach people how, if we can give them access to seeds and plants that would thrive in their area, then they would actually, have access to fresh food and stuff like this. Food and water is essential for life and medicines, of course, but food can be a part of medicine. I'm not a doctor. This is not, medical advice, but really wholesome nutrition is important for our bodies because our bodies is part of us. If we're not eating properly, from a young child to an adult, our bodies suffer. some of us can get by with not the greatest diet, but eventually it comes down to it. So, but the main thing is having something to put into our bodies. So a lot of the parents, the kids aren't even eating. They just eat a little bit and that's it. Um, and it shouldn't be. But if people were to, what I wanted to do, and like I said, there's a lot of loopholes. You can't send seeds overseas and stuff like this. And then we would have to people would have to be trained how to garden, but we could find people could have access, I guess, through books, and if they have maybe something to teach them, like maybe somebody go there and show them how to set up the garden. But a lot of the people in areas that are not really have a lot of money, they do gardening, so we can learn from them too. We're fortunate where we could go to the grocery store and we don't a lot of people don't have access like this. So if they can actually like grow their own garden, if I was able to send them seeds or something like this, we could get them into these areas where it's just they don't have food. But if the whole community, so it would give them hope. Okay. When people don't have food and stuff like this, think about, you don't really have the hope. They still have hope, but think of it. If you're hungry all the time, yourself, your mind is just going that you want to eat, because this is our body telling us we need to eat. So a lot of times the hunger goes away, not because we're not hungry, but because they're ignoring it. But they're hungry. There's quite a few things of hunger. So there's like spiritual hunger. There's plenty of things of hunger, but I'm talking about physical hunger. So if we can, I mean, I'm just one person, but I did see on the TV that they were actually training people how to make gardens and stuff become self-sufficient. So like the areas like this, instead of them starving, they would actually grow a garden. Yes, their diet would consist of mostly vegetables or whatever, potatoes and stuff like this, but at least they would have access to food. Now chickens and stuff, you can get eggs over there, they could have chickens and stuff like this, if they eat meat. But we do need some source of protein for our body. But you know, also when you're hungry, amen. So, I know when I'm hungry, like I was trying to do, you try to go fast and stuff. I can't do it. I can do it a little bit, but your mind that just goes like you need to eat something and then get it over with. So, these moms and dads, they look at their children and they don't have food because they're in a remote location. And I don't know what the case is, but it's because they don't have grocery stores like here and they don't have a ton of money. So if they had a garden, they can actually like the community, because most of the times it's living in communities. I guess it's like a third world country, you know what I'm saying? Indigenous people or whatever. It's just people who are still living like traditionally, you know. Can't Scott says, I can't do it. When I'm hungry, I want to tilt back the refrigerator. Amen. I know myself, I get hangry. And I know my kid, our kids, when they're hungry, they get hangry, but they're in these remote locations, and even clean water is a struggle for them, which I don't understand after this long, why the people in charge of that country, they would look at the people that are even, not in major society, but they're like living traditionally, why they wouldn't try to set up wells or something. So I got jalapeno seeds or something in my throat. God, I was trying to clean out the seeds from the jalapenos. That did not work though. I left the stems on. But I don't, it's an idea so far, but it's going to take more than myself. It's going to take a lot of people. And then you need actually people to go over there and actually or have communication. Like I know the girl from Light of God and Darkness, she actually has a community, and this is how they live. They have a whole community of people, but they're limited on what they have. So if they could build a garden and stuff like this, they would save the seeds and then basically replant, and they can actually sell the vegetables, take it to the market and sell it, and actually start to have like a little business. But of course you would have to have some for yourself and your community, and then you would have to have some for when you went to the market, or people would come there. But this is how people could become self-sufficient. You're serving the community, but you're also making sure that hunger isn't an issue, because you can't focus. And then education, definitely got to have some kind of education, because farming is a whole thing itself. Farming is very tough, right? um I just, but this was a one idea that I was thinking of. And like I said, I had seen it on the TV where they're actually teaching people. They're going into these indigenous communities and they're teaching people, which is hope for the community, because it shouldn't be a thing. People starving because no access to food. It shouldn't be a thing, because even if we were to take vegetables and you grow gardens, I mean, there's potatoes, there's carrots, there's cabbage and stuff, but in the real hot climates, it's probably more tropical stuff. So they would have to figure out what could they grow over there, and so probably bananas and stuff like this. Plantains, I think, is like in Africa. So it would have to be specific to that area, so you need scientists and stuff like this to study the soil, or really farmers that know the thing. That's why education is so important. But a lot of these people don't have access to books, and they don't have access to like the computer like we have. A lot of them don't have a smartphone. They're just living like traditionally. So that's why it's so important, But this is one way where we can solve world hunger, where all of us, it's not just me, but then the people in those communities will be part of the solution, because I can't work the ground for them, and they're going to have to watch the crops and stuff like this. And that's how this would be one way where they could end that part of hunger, and that's it. I mean, but like I said, I'm one person out of billions of people in this world. It's going to take more, and you're going to need resources to go into there. So I don't know how it goes with sending seeds over there and plants. There is in customs, there are certain things you just can't do. And I don't know all these things. You could get in a lot of trouble. And I'm not there, but this is like an idea that I have for my channel, that I want to be part of this, but it's going to take more than myself. I don't want your money, but what I want to do is come together with some ideas and figure out how can we support somebody in these areas to do this. I'm sure there's ministries like, we need wells, fresh water, and then you need, sanitation. The thing is they don't have running toilets and stuff like this. So it causes a lot of diseases. That's why we have sanitation here in the United States. A lot of people in other countries don't have this. And that's where a lot of the diseases come from, is from bacteria, from feces and stuff like this. And then the flies, so it's a bigger issue than ourselves, but it could be addressed. It's not that it can be addressed, but it's one step at a time. It's one thought, and then it's put into action. So I'm going to try to figure out how can I get seeds to these areas, and if they would be willing to plant them. I'm sure they would if you're hungry, but I don't know how long it would take, but I just don't know how that works, but it's just an idea. But it really does weigh on me that people across the world are hungry, because I know myself, when I'm hungry, you can't think about anything else. And to watch your children, or to watch your mom, or to give up your food so that your child can eat, sometimes they're just having porridge, which it's okay, but you need a balance. You need a balanced diet. You need calcium, and you need vitamin D in your body. Like I said, I'm not a doctor, but these are things. Calcium is vital for our bones. Vital. Vitamin D and calcium and all the nutrients. We need all the nutrients for our body. There's nothing that we couldn't use, but so that's it. I know this is my second message, and let me know your thoughts on this. And if you're out there, I see 3 people. Thank you for watching. And the issue is bigger, but one step at a time. It takes one step at a time, one thought, and then put into action. because it's just a thought. If it's not put into action, it means nothing, right? But this could spark something in somebody else, and then, people can address it. But like as far as myself, I'm going to kind of research how to send seeds to people, because what I'm doing now is I'm taking my vegetables and taking the seeds out of it, because I probably have 100 seeds in each tomato or each pepper. Instead of throwing them in the trash, I'm saving them. So if I can send the seeds to people, they could be the survival seeds for people where they can actually start a garden and stuff like that, and try to get good information. So for these areas, what can they grow? But peppers grow in hot climates, and that's it. So let's see. Scott says, I love this idea, Steph. It's a wonderful thing to think about this community. Amen. There's so many places in the world that are starving. The world hunger is a real thing. You know that they had that song "We Are the World" when Michael Jackson was singing it was actually about because people were starving, and they were Africa was just burying people left and right because the kids, it was families, families and families, and this is still going on. It's still present in India and Africa, all over the place. And access to clean water and sanitation, where we go to the bathroom, and to clean water. So these are really important things, because water is life, and having access to clean drinking water is essential. And food, there's many things for the body. We need to read too, education. A lot of the children over there do not get to go to school like us. We take it for granted. But I'm not trying to guilt trip us, but we have to be thankful for what we have. But we also need to think about somebody else, other people on the other side of the world, and know that they don't have access like we do to a lot of the stuff we have here. We complain that for a lot of things, but we got to count our blessings, what we have. But I'm trying to save the seeds now, and I'm trying to figure out how can I ship them, because there is regulations. Okay. Yeah, I know. Right Sky says, yeah, they really need to find a way to clean up the water over there. The river's so polluted. It is so bad, because that's where the diseases come from. We can't even drink the water here. We have PFLs in our water all over a lot of people are finding this, but it's not as bad as over there. I mean, they just don't have the sanitation where they're even taking it. So this issue needs to be addressed. But the first step is like addressing, if they can have some food for their bodies, they'll have the more strength. We don't eat, our body gets weak after a while. You don't eat one day, you can feel it in your body. That's the main thing we're trying to do when our kids are sick, or when we're sick, we're trying to get something in our body, whether we're hungry at that moment. One day is okay, but these people go days without eating. Nutrition is so important. um but that's all I want to share. Not being human, oh my god. And they're bathing and drinking from it's horrendous. Absolutely. It is. And this is where the diseases come from, because that's why, like, you have Porto Johns when you go on like a job site. And I think this is the reason they don't want, like, RVs and stuff, just people living out of them, because if people can't afford to dump the waste, it's going to be the same thing. We're going to have, there could be an issue. It could be, and I'm not saying everybody does this, but it can be a source of diseases. So this is probably one of the reasons they don't want people living like that. It's not that they're trying to control them, but for diseases and stuff like this, if people don't have proper sanitation, this is what happens. And, we can get really sick, and it does make a difference. It really does. So that's all I want to share with you guys. And Scott, thank you so much for coming out. I really appreciate you, and whoever is out there. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day, lovely weekend, and I hope your holiday was nice. I love your calendar, the Advent. Next year, I'm getting my kids something like that. I really had fun watching you open this stuff, and salty caramel is not my favorite. not really crazy about salty stuff, But that's it, guys. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Well, I hope to see you again wherever you are in the world. And if you have any thoughts on this, or if you're doing this in your community, let me know, okay? God bless you and have a wonderful day. Hope to see you back again. Bye, guys.